So, Mark, did you see that guy drumming out at Red Rock, making noise, putting on a show for all the people who want peace and quiet and nature out there? Do you think that this is a great way to celebrate nature, or is this guy ruining it for everybody?
I guess it depends who you're at. Like, I think it'd be kind of cool on a walk, having music. People probably put their headphones in when they're out there hiking around anyway, but I wonder how far that song, the sound travels in the open area. I wouldn't want it like every time I go out there, but just randomly seeing it, I think I'd enjoy it.
And a reminder to people, Red Rock's so beautiful, not far from the Strip, great hiking out there. And, if you can get a show, why not?
Just don't sleep on the trail in the middle of the night like your son did the one time.
Okay, you outed my... I checked into Rio yesterday, and I have a few stays coming up. I'm a World of Hyatt globalist, and they have that new partnership. That means I get waived resort fees and cheap nights. So I figure I'll stay there every so often to kind of keep up with construction. And I do want to talk about construction in a minute, Mark, but I went into the room. I saw your Fred Flintstone steak tables. I actually like them. The room is sort of what we thought, kind of a 3-star hotel room, perfectly fine, nothing too fancy. I'll do a full review later because I didn't sleep in the room yet, but I went to go check the security because of all of the reports lately, and I put the manual lock on the inside of the door, the one that sort of replaced the chains we used to have back in the day, the physical barrier that stops the door from opening, and I shared it on Twitter or X, and you can see it does not work at all. This is not acceptable for a hotel. These are renovated rooms too. I don't know what the heck is going on there.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame. I wonder if it's from the old rooms and they just, like, some things got moved around or the door's a bit different. I don't know, but it's freaky because most people probably don't ever check it. So you feel like, okay, I got the latch up, I'm good to go. And come to find out it doesn't work at all. And this is such a cheap part. Like, they should fix it after seeing this, and I'm sure they've seen it. It can't cost more than a couple bucks. I know there's a lot of rooms, but you order them in bulk, get it done, swap them out, get different ones, whatever you need to do to make this safe. Because I think that now that this is out there with all these break-ins, people have a leg to stand on and can sue them for not properly, keeping their property up and maintaining it.
And people might argue, yes, you can bypass this. Sure, you could bust through the door, but if that's properly installed, you would have to put a lot of force on the door in order to get it open. And people use this for security. And, there are those reports, the alleged reports that people had stuff stolen while they're sleeping. And this is not a good look at all. And you can see on the door in the video how the paint is all scraped off. So it's happening to a lot of people. I did receive reports from others who have had rooms and had the same exact issue. So it isn't specific to the room that I had. So hopefully Rio fixes it. We're not trying to slam Rio at all, but this is not acceptable for any hotel. And Hyatt should be aware of this, and they just need to fix it. You have these issues with security. It's a big public relations thing. You need to double down and make this the most secure hotel in Las Vegas. Elevators do have key card access, but there's no security guard, meaning that, you get big crowds of people. One person scans their key, anybody can get to any floor. So that's not really safe either. So hopefully they address this. But on a brighter note, the entire middle of the casino now is blocked off. So one side of the casino is blocked from the other. The only way around is through the registration desk. So the center bar under construction, you have the main tavern under construction, a lot more behind construction walls. So things are progressing pretty quickly, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, everybody loves a good center bar, so I'm excited to see what that looks like when it's all said and done. But, going back to the lock a bit, what you said, if you push hard enough, you can get through. But it does stop any thieves that are just looking for the easy score if it gets stuck. And then it also will wake you up. At least it's going to make a lot of noise. They can't get in there on the sly and everything. And I know that lock isn't out if you're not in your room, so it's mainly safety for when you're in there. That's more important than any stuff you leave in there. I want my body safe, take all my crap that I leave in the room, whatever, I don't want somebody coming in and stabbing me or anything like that. So I think it's something they do need to fix. It will be interesting to see. Like you said, the rooms look pretty decent for a 3-star. The key to that is how well does the maintenance do? How long do they stay that nice? I'm sure they'll get beat up a little bit as time goes on, as every hotel in Vegas does. But if it's a 3-star and then you let it get beat up, it's going to drop to a 2-star. So you need to keep up with the maintenance, the painting, all that type of stuff. And hopefully these locks get fixed quickly. I think that goes a long way to telling us what this ownership group's going to be like, what's Hyatt's going to be like in Vegas.
The only thing I noticed wear and tear in the room was wallpaper in the shower peeling off. So, that's not good considering how new these rooms are. But everything else looked good, in good condition. So good to see that. 2 updates on venues. The Wine Cellar Tasting Room is reopening March 21st. That's been closed forever. That's in the Masquerade part of the casino. And then the Luckily Tavern, which is replacing that American Bar and Grill, will open in May of 2024. So we don't have timelines for the rest of that construction. Those walls have just gone up in the last week or two. So a lot to go there. not the best experience. Check-in took a little bit of time, but very friendly when I checked in. She recognized me as a Hyatt globalist, and she was kind of excited about that. Wished me a happy birthday because it was a couple days after my birthday. So that whole experience, while a little slow to check in, pretty good. Good customer service there. And I'm looking forward to more stays and watching this property turn into something better. And Dreamscape just fixed those locks.
Did you guys notice Sean begging for happy birthdays in the comments there? You know, it was on the slide.
Oh, God. Oh, God. So as people might notice, we are a little bit late today. This show's coming out Wednesday instead of Tuesday. And that's because both of us were in Europe on separate trips last week. And we had to shift our schedule a little bit. And you went to Rome just to prove that the pasta there is better than at Fontainebleau.
I remembered it from my last trip and compared it to Mother Wolf at Fontainebleau, and I went back and tried the same thing, and it just is way better, and it was a lot cheaper. I mean, people talk about Rome, and in the past they said it was very expensive, but everything there was, you know, around 13 euro, and the euro is pretty weak, so that helps a lot. You know, it's just a little bit over $1, so like I think $1.08, $1.09. So you're getting that pretty affordable, and then a whole bottle of wine was like 16 euro at this restaurant. So the whole thing, a bottle of wine and twice the amount of pasta I got at Mother Wolf was, you know, $30 around there. No tip, of course, because it's Europe. They don't expect any tip. And comparably to Vegas, it was $70 for 2 beers and half the amount of pasta that was probably 1/3 as good. So it's kind of crazy when you put that into perspective, but that is Fontainebleau, expensive for dining, and that's kind of just Vegas, and you just have to expect it when you go there.
So I went to Paris and Lisbon with my family, had a great time. Highly recommend Portugal to anybody who wants to go there. That's not the scope of this show, so we won't talk too much more about that. But our next show will be on Saturday instead of Friday to kind of fix the schedule, and then next week we'll be back to Tuesdays and Fridays. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time, Mark, before Margaritaville goes away. We learned this last week that the Margaritaville inside Flamingo is closing, and initially I think it was announced for May, and then Las Vegas locally updated to say April 15th will be the last day for this restaurant. Now, the casino section has already been de-Margaritavilled for a while, so this is a big venue, a prime location right on the corner of the Link Promenade. It'll be interesting to see what Caesars does with that space.
Yeah, 20 years of one place. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I never actually went in there and ate. I did go to the Margaritaville part of the casino, you know, especially when they had the, what was it, beers for a nickel or a dime or whatever. That was always kind of crazy to see it go down and how many Bud Lights they were slinging out there in an hour. But I never actually went to the restaurant. And I think that's just that's my take on, you know, Vegas. I don't go to a lot of chain restaurants when I'm there just because you can do that anywhere. I mean, there are, of course, chain restaurants there that aren't everywhere in America, or, you know, it might be like one in New York and then one in Vegas and stuff. So I don't consider those the same type of thing. But as far as, you know, a mass chain, I'm not going to go to like a Buffalo Wild Wings in Las Vegas, even though I would eat it here. It's just that type of thing. So that's part of the reason I never went in there. But they're always fun and interesting.
According to Vital Vegas, the Hell's Kitchen does 8 times the revenue of what Margaritaville did. And maybe that tells you why this space needs to change over. I love Margaritaville's nachos. I'm not going to lie. Always love them. But like you, I've only been in there a couple times because of, you know, it's not special. So when I'm traveling, I do go get Margaritaville nachos, but I've only had them at the Strip twice. So yeah, not a huge loss there, but it's rare for a venue in Vegas these days to last as long as it has, over 20 years. Jimmy Buffett's gone, and now Margaritaville gone from Las Vegas.
Yeah, and I'm interested to see what they do with it. I think the last couple restaurants they brought in Flamingo have been better than I would have expected, on the higher end, a little bit nicer than what you usually would see at Flamingo. So I think they'll do something similar with this, and I think it'll be something added to the area, to the promenade, and be a hit, hopefully.
Which celebrity chef?
Jeez.
You gotta spin the wheel.
Who's up? Yeah, who's up on the wheel? I don't know. Maybe they can bring in a new one. I hope they don't bring in Guy, because that would be kind of the same similar type of thing as Margaritaville. Like, it would just be kind of replacing one with the next one, trash can nachos instead of Margaritaville nachos. So hopefully his turn isn't up.
So another big story this week was Bruno Mars. News Nation did this article saying that Bruno Mars is in debt to MGM, saying that he's been in debt up to $50 million at certain points, gambling crazy, and that basically, quote unquote, and this is their words, that they own him. And I don't think that those are a great choice of words, but they refuted. They had to come out in the media, MGM, and saying, no, he doesn't, owe us $50 million, and he is a partner of ours and we love him. He just opened that new venue at Bellagio, but apparently big gambler, It's always hard to talk about people with, gambling problems or gambling too much, but he does make a lot of money. And I don't know if this is a story that everybody needs to be talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. They said he owes nothing, not even like, no, he doesn't owe 50 million and leaving it at that. They said he owes nothing. Who knows? Like maybe this was a part of the thing. I mean, if you did run up a debt, then you'd be like, hey, do you want like 20 shows? It wouldn't be such a bad situation for him if he does lose the money, and not a bad situation for MGM. Maybe he did lose some money and that's how they came up with this partnership idea. I don't know. The restaurant looks cool. I think it'll be a big success, and he makes enough money that he can probably afford this. It's interesting. I mean, we've talked about like Michael Jordan in the past having gambling issues. I think a lot of high-end celebrities, Drake loves gambling, so I think it just kind of goes with it. What's 50 million to them might be 50,000 to us, which is still a lot of money.
Yeah, he makes a lot of money. I guess we know he's in trouble if he keeps opening up more venues at MGM. Every time he loses 10 mil, they're like, okay, you owe us another bar and more performances. But he makes tons of money. He's a prolific songwriter. It's not just what he makes here, which is reportedly $1.5 million a show. And according to the Review Journal, he likes to gamble at Aria and Bellagio, not Park MGM where he performs. So in case you were wondering where you can find Bruno Mars, well, you probably never find him because he's probably in a private gaming room. But he's having fun there. And he seems to love Las Vegas. He's been with MGM since 2016.
Yeah, and I was surprised. I didn't know that he was a professional poker player before his music career went big or anything like that. I didn't know that. I'll have to do some more reading on that. I find that pretty interesting. Maybe he should get back to sticking to poker and less of whatever he has been playing.
So maybe one of the reasons the pasta at Fontainebleau is so expensive is because they have to replace the copper piping. This guy was arrested for allegedly stealing over $100,000 in copper piping over months from Fontainebleau, and it could be even higher than that according to construction companies. So apparently he lost his job according to the police, and they're alleging this, and he just started going into these back rooms and stealing copper piping. And when he was approached by security guards several times, he just said he was a construction worker. He got away with it for a while. And apparently he sold the copper piping for about $51,000 in proceeds. And it's going to cost them a lot to fix this.
That's what I thought was most interesting about this story, or crazy, that he did it multiple times. He was actually approached by security. They knew it was a problem by then, and they're looking for the guy. They don't verify it or hold him or call the construction company, anything like that. Like, you think that they would have been on top of things, especially since they 86'd a whole bunch of people on opening night. Like, they're on top of that, but you can't find a copper thief. I don't know. It's kind of crazy, but goes to show you can get away with one or two times, but when you get greedy, that's what gets you caught.
The funny thing is, that's not even the craziest Fontainebleau story on this show, but you'll have to stay tuned to the end. We got to look inside Mandalay Bay's Penthouse Lounge. A reminder that there's areas all over Las Vegas that you've never heard of or seen, and you're not special enough, or we're not special enough to get inside. But Champ Cha on X, he shared this video of the lounge, which has a movie theater, open bar, pool table. It looks really nice. And yeah, I mean, if you ever get to stay on the top floor of Mandalay Bay, this is what you're in for.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a nice diamond lounge type of thing, that type of setup. Nothing out of this world food-wise or drink-wise, but if you're on that floor and you want to watch a game and you want to be kind of away from the crowd and the people, I think it's a cool place to hang out. Or if you're you're going with a group of people that don't have access, maybe you can bring them in and treat them to some free drinks and food and all that, and just kind of have a hangout for a couple of hours. I think it's a nice perk to have. I don't know how much people use it, but I think it's something worth checking out if you are on the top floor. I didn't know it was there.
I had heard rumors about it. I mean, I knew there was a special floor on the top floor at Mandalay Bay going back forever, but I had never seen inside of this or didn't know what was available there as far as a lounge. So I'm really glad he shared it. And it's always nice to get these looks behind the scenes. And he's a high roller, so that's why he has access. And that's generally how you get access to those suites on that 62nd floor, I believe. I could be wrong about that. But so if you're on the 61st floor and you think you're on the top floor, they tell people that. Just know there's a floor above you. And a lot of casinos have that stuff. So if you're in the market for some Las Vegas Aces gear, for all you haters out there, or Raiders gear or UNLV gear, this weekend, March 22nd and 23rd from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at Allegiant Stadium, they're going to have a clearance sale, clearing out all the old merchandise. I'm going to get my Aces gear. I plan to head over there, so when they win back-to-back-to-back championships for their major sports franchise, I can wear their gear proudly. I'm sorry for everybody out there who's triggered by that. But Raiders stuff, UNLV stuff, I do plan to go over there and see what they have.
Yeah, I think WNBA is going to get a bit bigger with Caitlin Clark and everybody that's kind of brought the women's college basketball game into the spotlight a bit. Their career will be followed when they go to the WNBA. So it would help all the teams, including the Aces, which is cool. I'm surprised that there's NFL gear involved in this, just because they're so stringent on what you're allowed to discount and stuff like that, and they always try to keep their prices high. So if you are a Raiders fan, I think that's a great way to get in.
Yeah, up to 70% off is what they're advertising. So we'll see what the actual discounts are. And maybe I'll get some cool gear, report back on that. And let's finish with this craziness. An update in the Wynn versus Fontainebleau lawsuit. Fontainebleau has filed a countersuit. And the beginning of this is insane. I mean, this entire document is insane. I will link it in the description. Thanks to Vital Vegas for tracking this down. He wrote a good article on it as well. I'll put a link to that too. But I have to read this beginning of this lawsuit because it is insane. In their 1976 hit, New Kid in Town, the iconic band The Eagles wrote about the insecurities that follow fading popularity and attraction. There's a new kid in town. There's a new kid in town. People start walking. There's a new kid in town. Wynn Las Vegas is now confessing those same insecurities for the whole world to see. The new Fontainebleau Las Vegas has arrived, and the employees of its competitors, including Wynn Las Vegas, have started both talking and walking. Yeah, this is insane. And then there's also a text message exchange between the president of Fontainebleau, Jeff Sofer, and Craig Billings, the CEO of Wynn, which, I mean, this is like kindergarten. I don't know what these guys are doing. It's insane. And they're putting this all out there for the world to see.
Yeah, I don't think it makes Wynn look very good. I mean, Fontainebleau, we've seen the issues with their. I always thought it was funny that everybody wants to leave Wynn because it's bad, but everybody's kind of leaving Fontainebleau now that it started because it's not great. Maybe they're both not the greatest employers. I don't know. But Craig looks kind of unhinged in all of this, and it seems a bit petty. You know, we saw the Resorts World thing when they put Nico up on the board, so everybody can have their their bingo card there. And I thought they handled that really well. They didn't really come out and do anything about it, didn't say anything, didn't make a big ruckus, which I'm kind of surprised now seeing all this stuff. Like, it seemed like somebody that would be texting, a vendor and a vendor partner, like, I have the power here. I'm not wasting my time with you while I'm on family vacation. I've already done enough of that. Like, it just seemed like a weird dichotomy when these two are somewhat equals, and maybe the Fontainebleau guy's even he owns it, so maybe he's bigger up. I don't know. It just seemed childish.
The countersuit specifically talks about one employee who signed with Fontainebleau and then was threatened by Wynn and Billings, and he basically breached his contract with Fontainebleau, went back to Wynn. It talks about how they've threatened employees, how they've trespassed people who did go to Fontainebleau and quit their jobs, and just talks about harassment and alleges that. And it's a very interesting read, and you can tell there's no love lost. And as you say with Resorts World, remember Wynn sued Resorts World for the design of their building. They've been a little litigious when it comes to their neighbors, and I don't think we can overlook that. But Fontainebleau is saying 2 years before the property opened, they were using Wynn Las Vegas as their property to stay at. So all the executives were staying there, and they accused that basically over that period of time, they learned that Wynn Las Vegas employees were really unhappy, and a lot of those employees got to know the executives for Fontainebleau, knowing that they were going to open a new property, and they wanted out. So there's just a lot of crap being thrown, and this is not good for Las Vegas for this to be out there. They need to make nice. And like you said, Craig Billings is the CEO of a publicly traded company. I can't imagine he's happy to have that text message out in public.
Wonder how that plays out for him, especially with a brand like Wynn, where they're expected to be kind of above it all. And you're using language like that in a text to an owner of another property. It just seems bad and petty. And this little bit of the business fighting this, with Fontainebleau did not take you away from your family. That's just your job. Like, your job took you away from your family, if anything. So don't throw them in there like for sympathy or something. It's so bizarre and it's so small. The one person at Fontainebleau said they hired away from Resorts World, and then he brought some friends over from his time when he worked at Wynn. I mean, that makes perfect sense. You can't get upset about that. Now, how are you going to go recruit people from other businesses to fill your spots at Wynn? Like, you're going to do similar things, and now this is out there. So are people going to come attack you if somebody leaves their property to come to yours? It's just a bad precedent.
And how does this affect morale if they're forcing managers to stay or threatening to sue them? Are they going to do a good job for your company? Are they going to put out the brand that you want? It's strange. You can't force people to work for you. I get contracts are there and they want to be enforced. And we don't know the legality of everybody's employment contracts and what they say. But it does seem like Wynn just thinks they own everybody and they can't go anywhere else. And again, the legalities of all this will be settled in court. But it's a bad look for both sides. And I think Fontainebleau did a good job here on fighting back because they seem to have a lot of things that they want to put out there to defend themselves.
Yeah, and I initially thought this was like hundreds of employees. Like, they went in there and stole a whole bunch of people and basically backfilled half of Fontainebleau with Wynn employees, which doesn't seem to be the case. A couple high-end executives, for the most part, at least that's what they discussed. We don't know how far this goes down the rabbit hole, but you just have to deal with it. If anything, with an employment contract, go to the Fontainebleau and say, hey, if you want to buy them out, this is the cost, something like that. And maybe you make a little bit of money on the back end off of this and everybody's okay with it. It just seems weird to force somebody to come back and work for you. That's not the case. If anything, you stop them from working at Fontainebleau, but you don't force them to come home.
If anybody has anonymous information they'd love to share with us behind the scenes of any of this, feel free to email me, Sean@milestomemories.com, and we'll share it with everybody anonymously, of course. But I'm really interested to learn more about the workings behind these two, because I don't think this is the last we've heard of this. And yeah, it's interesting. The north end of the strip, it may not be as busy as the south end of the strip, but drama is on overdrive. And I guess that's good for this show. And it makes us happy in that way.
Yeah, YouTube loves drama. We're good to go. Let's roll.
So let us know what you guys think about anything, stealing copper wiring, that insane issue with the Rio doors, this lawsuit. Hit us up in the comments. We do 2 shows a week, normally Tuesdays and Fridays, but this week, Wednesday and Saturday. So we'll be back in a couple days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody. Happy hump day.
Okay. You'll never see that. So that's a. Oh, man. Well, you got the laugh you wanted.